What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be replacing the OEM shifter in this 21 Dodge Challenger with a Billetworkz auto adapter here. Now this process will be the same for Challengers 15 to 23. It's a pretty straightforward install, so let's get into it. So the first thing we need to do is get the trim removed. So what we found is easiest is grabbing this little hold cubby, pulling that cubby out, and it kind of reveals a little way to grab the trim. We're going to go ahead and start by pulling up on the trim. It's a little tight, so just be careful. And then we're going to take our trim tool once that's loose and just work our way around the rest of the trim. So the next step once you get the trim off is to remove this Torx bolt here. It is a T25, so we're going to go ahead and get that taken out. And then once you have that Torx bolt out, the shifter assembly will just slide right off like that. So the next couple steps is we actually have to get the shifter separated from the boot, but before we do that, there's a couple steps that we need to do. First one is going to be, just to make our life easier, is we're going to disconnect this connector from this plug right here. So just get a small flathead and just get in there and pop that loose. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if you try to start your car or turn on your ignition with this disconnected, it will throw a shift code. So make sure you do not do that. If you do, to clear it, you can just start and stop the car 4 times and that'll clear that code. But just keep in mind, do not turn on the car with this disconnected. Now that we have the cable disconnected, we can go ahead and pop this trim piece out that holds the boot in. You just push up on it from the bottom, and it pops out like so. Now that we have the cable disconnected from here and the boot removed from the main trim, now we're going to separate this connector from this little retainer here. And to do that, you're gonna need a really wide flathead, and you're gonna twist, and you're gonna wanna put the flathead in between here and push up on the bottom at the same time. All right, and then it will just slide out the rest of the way. Now that the plug is disconnected from this little holder here, the next step is going to be actually removing the shifter assembly itself from this boot housing here. So to do that, you're going to need 2 small flatheads. You can do it yourself, but if you do have a buddy around, I would recommend advising to ask them to help. So if you are doing it yourself, I do recommend just kind of putting it in your lap so you have a way to hold it so it doesn't flop around on you. So you're going to press in on each side with the flatheads, and at the same time you're going to push down on the shifter itself, and you'll see it will start to come down, and you'll just slide all of it out and through. So now that we have the shifter separated from the boot, I'm going to go ahead and actually plug this back in, so that way if I accidentally turn on the car or anything, it won't throw any codes. But one step I want to do before I do that is this silver ring. It was pressed between the knob and the boot in this red piece here, and it's kind of just flops around, so I'm actually going to take it off, reconnect everything, and then I'm going to tuck this in this little compartment up here, and that will actually just stay like that, and where you leave it connected so that the car thinks that the shifter is still connected, and we're kind of playing a little trick on it. Now we can go ahead and now separate this red piece from the boot itself, and it's just simply glued in. So all you need to do is just grab it. This one's actually already kind of coming apart, and you just separate it like that. The next thing that we want to do is go ahead and place the boot back into the trim piece here. So we're going to go ahead and just snap all this back together, and then we're going to slide all of this over the shifting assembly, but we're not going to clip anything into place yet. Now that we have the trim piece sitting in place, we can now go ahead and install the auto adapter from Billetworkz. And to do that, you're going to simply just slide it over. You're gonna let it sit right on top of that. You don't want to push down and tighten it up, so we're gonna have it just kind of rest right on top. So now that we have it just sitting on here, we can go ahead and tighten up these set screws. So I started on these front 2. Unfortunately, Dodge will not let you put the car into neutral to access these front ones without starting it, so I have to start it and then move it, and I'll just turn the car off once it's in neutral. So now that we have that snugged up, we can go ahead and attach the boot to the auto adapter itself here. So we're just going to go ahead and pull up on this and get the boot nice and flush with the base here. We're going to take our flush zip tie that is provided. We're going to get that started and make sure that's sitting in the grooves on the auto adapter. And then we're going to go ahead and cut off the excess here. And then we're gonna go ahead and push everything back down in. And we're gonna fold the boot over. Make sure everything's sitting nice and good, which it is. Put it back into park and make sure it's still sitting good. All right, now one thing I am going to do before we call this a job complete is we're just gonna cycle through, make sure that everything still works as it should. Like I said before, we actually have to start the car to do this, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So I shouldn't be able to pull anything out of park. So to put it into reverse, I push down. So I'm in reverse now, all the way down, and it can go into neutral. I can go back into neutral, but not into reverse, and then back into park. So yep, functionality is working as it should. Sport mode still works. Be sure to check out Billetworkz.com to grab your auto adapter for your 15 to 23 Dodge Challenger, and also to see what other color variants and options we have available for you as well.